Good evening everyone, it's Sarah here. I am reporting to you from the UK exclusion zone. It's been 20 plus years since that fateful day where an outbreak of an infectious disease known as the rage virus ran rampant across the country and eventually spilling over into Greater Europe and the rest of the world. Today we're looking at the latest instalment in the revered franchise 28 years later. A film that many fans have been debating over and eagerly anticipating for the last decade. Before we give you our thoughts though, please make sure to like, share and subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, strap on your protective gear, it's time to enter the apocalyptic world of 28 years later. The first thing I should mention is that this film marks the return of the original director and writer, Danny Boyle, whose unmistakably visual style brings a gritty realness to the entire thing. Let's have a quick recap of the events though. In 2002, Boyle releases this first film in the franchise, which follows protagonist Jim, a bike messenger who wakes up in a hospital bed 28 days after a massive outbreak of an infectious disease known as the rage virus. This disease causes a person to lose control over their mental faculties, causing them to basically go berserk and attack and kill anything nearby. It's transmitted by coming into contact with an open orifice on a personal living creature, for example through the eyes, through ingestion and open wounds, etc. Essentially, while it is not a zombie film, it does work in a similar fashion to how it spreads. However, if you shoot the infected with enough bullets, they do go down regardless of if it's a headshot or not, as they aren't undead, but more like a combination of crack and PCP. That is true. In the sequel of 28 Weeks Later, which was an American production, it sees the UK walled off with a safety zone built in the centre. Whatever survivors they are able to find are thoroughly checked for any signs of infection, before being brought to basically start new lives. Since the infected are not undead, many have starved off at this point, becoming nothing but rotten husks all over the various cities and villages in the UK, which cleanup crews are sent out to burn and dispose of these remains. However, because of some dumbass kids and their equally dumbass father, a second outbreak happens in the safe zone and everything goes to shit. The film ends with a large horde of infected reaching places like France and Holland and such, and basically the EU is doomed. Sort of, since this is the first part of a planned trilogy. It focuses primarily on the isolated UK, so we don't know yet when or if this will even acknowledge the ending's events of 28 Weeks Later. Sadly, this also means the returning characters such as Imogen and Tammy are still up in the air, but the rumours are swirling. So here we are now, 28 years later. Much of the population in the UK has died and those who remain had to adapt to a new world. The film focuses primarily on a community who built themselves a safe haven on a small island, which is only accessible via a long bridge road, which if it were ever compromised can be blown to smithereens, cutting them off from the mainland. As a whole, the film is both a meditation on death and finding the beauty in the few moments of peace amongst the numerous terrors of reality, as well as a commentary on Brexit and how the world could turn its back on a nation after a massively unpopular decision. Something that Tim says that if the US isn't careful, they too will be experience isolation from the rest of the world. Anyway, the main character is a young boy named Spike, who's roughly 12 years old. His father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, tries to teach him as much as he can about survival and being a good man in a world where fewer and fewer actual good people exist. There are also two other major groups in this film, a creepy doomsday cult and then a group of roaming infected humans who aren't just the mindless runners we're used to seeing. There is also a small force of NATO soldiers, but we really don't spend much time with them, as the focus of this film is mainly about the survivors from this small Scottish island. The film is strangely poetic, yet also incredibly gruesome, especially the opening scene. If you're a parent of an aunt or an uncle of small nieces and nephews, I'm pretty sure it's going to leave you a bit traumatised. That being said, the film doesn't quite stick the landing, and it's not because it's not a good ending, it's a fucked up ending, but rather because it's a cliffhanger meant to set up the next film. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which releases in January next year. The film just kind of comes off as disjointed, abrupt ending after having told such a harrowing and deeply emotional story, which kind of makes it feel unnecessary or disconnected. However, the rest of the film is very strong, probably one of the best zombie-esque films in many years. I may even say it's slightly better than the original film, as its themes and storytellings are so much more nuanced and vividly brought to life. I give the film a strong 8.5 out of 10. If it weren't for the weird ending and a few nitpicks here and there, it would almost be perfect. At a crisp 1 hour and 55 minutes, it's definitely worth trekking to your local theatre and checking it out. But I want to thank you all here for checking out the review for 28 Years Later. Are you a fan of the franchise? Who's your favourite character? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know what you thought of the film if you've watched it. Make sure to come back Friday for our full spoiler-filled breakdown and ending explained video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel and catch new reviews and breakdowns every week. I have been your host Sarah, and have a wonderful day and take care. See you soon everyone. Goodbye.